Hello everyone. This is week 2, the wow factor. Now everybody has an amazing story about how they fell in love, or how they fell out of love, or how they got divorced, or how they stayed together, or how they had this magical life. Well, for me and my wife, it actually started kind of rough. Not because of me and her, but because of the obstacles between us. Now, our father is an amazing individual, but the way he started, it was kind of like a David and Goliath effect. What first started happening when I first met her is her dad had this reputation of being a hard guy. Nobody wanted to mess with him. Nobody wanted to deal with him. Well, me being a military rat and living overseas in Japan for so long and coming to this high school, meeting this gorgeous woman that I knew was out of my league, what do? I immediately try to introduce myself and talk to her. Try to come up with something sly to say, something like, beautiful eyes or something. I had nothing. First thing I did is I went up to her. Before I could speak, I shook her hand. She looked at me kind of weird and more of like, this guy's crazy, maybe a stalker. So I kind of laughed off the situation. The only reason I even went up to her at first was because of a little short individual who thought it'd be funny to make me look like a fool or a schmuck by introducing me to somebody he thought was out of my league and wouldn't give me the time of day. What ended up happening is I owe that guy a whole lifetime of happiness since then. For us in high school, she was a senior, I was a junior. Yeah, I dated the older woman, and she robbed the cradle, as you could say, but it worked. We ended up only staying together for about 3 months before I ended up having to move back to Japan. In the blink of an eye, we were together at May 21st. By July, I was back in Japan, getting ready to go back to high school. We thought it was only going to be a summer fling. Somehow it worked out. I could never get her out of my mind. I could never stop thinking about her. When I'd call, her father would ask these amazing, "Who are you?" in Spanish. Well, I didn't speak Spanish at the time, so I didn't take it as an insult, nor was I upset. But most of all, I wasn't intimidated. She was someone I wanted to pursue and to be with, and I had never thought of a woman that way in my life. So what do? I keep calling, and it gets her into trouble. She comes back and yells at me and says, stop, you're going to get me more trouble. What could I do? As time elapsed, and I spent about 11 months in Japan, my mother, who had already identified that I was amazingly in love with this woman. And I say amazingly because words can be used as giant, enormous, huge. But to have an amazing love to me was something that is genuine and it's not generic and you can't repeat it. Nobody says amazing love. Everybody uses deep love or all these different things. But to me, an amazing love was something that I had never identified or wanted. This woman I saw as elegant, not just as beautiful, but as elegant. And I wanted to know nothing more but only her. So what do? I come back from Japan. My mom is so dedicated to us that she leaves before being able to see my father, who had already been out to sea for about 9 months. So she went a year and a half without ever seeing him. We get back. I start high school. We start our relationship back pretty much from square one. As we're living our lives together, her father again is now the obstacle. He always is in the way, never wants me to see her, comes up with these ridiculous rules. You can be there when I'm there at the house. Well, what do you think happened? Of course, he was never there. Gloria, my wife's name, she would call me and be like, hey, my dad's here. So we would try to sneak a trip. Well, I give the guy credit. He has some type of intuition or some type of mental power, but every time I get ready to come over to the house, he was gone. Well, her mother, who could see very clear that we were deeply in love, decided to go against all rules of her husband and allowed me and my wife to be together. And because of my mom and her mom, we've had such an amazing life now. We've been together for 17 years. 17 years holding hands and loving each other. We've had everything from me and her dad running around the house together to the last thing and only thing that was ever able to stop him in his tracks. I came over one day right before I was supposed to leave. I tricked him because he wanted to meet my father. My father looked me square in the face before I left this house and he said, this is your wife, or this is soon to be your wife, correct? This is the one you want to marry. I have nothing to do with this. So I go over to the house. I'm sitting there on the couch. He barely lets me in the door. We start talking, and by the time I got ready to leave, I looked him square in his face and I said, you can threaten me with a gun every day. Put it to my face. And I will be back for your daughter. I love her and I want to marry her. He looked me square in the face for the first time and he allowed his daughter to walk me outside. I gave her a kiss, got into the vehicle and left. And the rest is history.